is Shaughnessy again from the Eastern Iowa Arts Academy, and I'm super excited about week 3. We've been doing this for 2 weeks. We've got a lot of pages happening, a lot of things going on. I don't know about you, I tend to like to keep adding to things. As we keep a page and we're like, well, I like it so far, I might add something later. That brings me to this idea of layering, which is so important in art in general, and in art journaling. Adding more layers gives you more dimension. It gives you a lot of interest in the page. It makes it seem very full, right? So this is a page that we're gonna talk about a little bit in terms of layering. We've got a lot of things happening. As you can see on this page, this is my monsters page. I wanted to look at a little bit of what's underneath. So we have just a regular book page underneath, and we have some color on it. We have some like tissue paper pieces that were added underneath and then painted over. We have some cutouts from magazines. We have these monsters that we did. We have this little envelope here. We have our words. We have some drawings, some shapes, and then these just little marks, right? We have a chain going through here. We have these little dashes. In art journaling, we call this mark making, right? And so sometimes you want an element. You have so many things happening, so many layers, so many pieces going on. You need something to kind of bring them together and sort of unify all of the pieces that you have. And so mark making can come in really handy as it can sort of like traverse these various elements and bring them together. I don't go into it with like, I want it to look like this. Like I don't have this picture in my head when I start out. I just start doing things and then try something else and see how that looks and add another color and do something else. So I've been working on this page and I'm at sort of like maybe a third stage with this one. So I wanted to show this to you. This is where I'm going to keep going today. But we're going to start back at the beginning on a new page, and I'm going to show you sort of how we got to this one. So I'm going to keep going on this page and adding to it. And this is sort of just basically a background that I'm more or less happy with where it's at. And I'm going to add all of my more foreground pieces on top of this. So I want to start on a new page with you guys and just look at how to sort of start that type of a background and how to get all those layers on the page. Going to get some color on the page. So go ahead and spend some time like thinking about what colors you might be interested in doing, what feels like fun colors to you. These are the ones that I'm going to use today, sort of like a bright green, a light blue, and this yellow. So I'm just going to get some colors on the page. I'm also going to be using some white, and there'll probably, be 50 other colors in there as well by the time we're done. So I'm going to start in the middle with some white, and I think it's fun you just kind of put the color on the page and see what happens. I'm gonna start just kind of doing this, folding it over and smashing it around a little bit and opening it back up. So there, I have some white on the page. It's also fun when you do that, you get sort of like, I don't know if you can get this interesting texture there, which is pretty fun. Is looking really fun to me. It's looking almost, this is like one of those Rorschach tests, right? If you look at these blobs, you're like, what do you see? And there's like 2 people and they have angel wings and they're whatever. And so you can sort of come up with your own picture that you can paint or draw on top of whatever's here, which is a super fun thing to do too. I'm going to take my fingers and I'm going to just start sort of muddying things up a little bit. Okay, fantastic. So we're going to start here. I'm going to let this dry for a second, and then we're going to come at this again with another layer. We're going to do a little bit of printing, not the kind where you're writing, but like we're going to find something and use it to like print a shape onto our already created background. On this page, I used the sort of toilet paper tube or the paper towel tube to create my printed circles. We're going to do something similar, but with using a different object around the house to make our print with. I love using just crazy things that you're not expecting. They're not really art supplies. For example, one of my favorite things, I don't have any in the house today, I'm so bummed about it, is to use is bubble wrap. So you just take some bubble wrap and just take your paintbrush and paint some paint over it, or you can, you know, put some paint on your palette and sort of dip it in and then just print as though it was a stamp, the bubble wrap onto your page. It makes these really cool tiny, you know, circle bubble shapes. But I don't have any of that today, so we're going to use a piece of corrugated cardboard. This is just regular cardboard from an Amazon delivery box. And if you tear off sort of one of the sheets, let me see if I can do it over here, one of the cardboard sheets behind it, the underneath side is corrugated. I think I'm going to use whites. You could use any of the colors you've already used. You could introduce like a purple, or a bright red would be really fun and interesting. But I'm not quite sure that that's how I want to go yet on this page. So I'm just going to take my white paint. I'm going to put it right there. I'm going to try brushing it on first. And if that doesn't give me what I want, then I will just dip this straight in that paint. A lot of times this will help. So I'm just going to go over here. I'm going to be kind of heavy-handed, and I'm also not going to do the whole thing. I don't want it to look, you know, perfect, like a perfectly clean set of lines. I just want to get like the suggestion of some lines. So we're going to go with this. I've sort of put some paint on this. And even though it's white on white, I think it will still contrast enough. So I'm just going to put this sort of like in this direction, not really straight, push it down in there, and then bring it up. And there I've got some cool lines. It's even like taken off some of the paint that was there before and shown through the words underneath, which I think is super fun and cool. So I've got these fun lines now going across this top of my page here. I'm into it. So I've got a couple sets of lines here. And again, all these things that we're doing, we're sort of bringing all of the different elements together. So this is our next layer here. I'm going to let this dry for just a minute, and then we're going to add, I think I'm going to go with some oil pastels next. Okay, so I'm going to take, I've been looking at I have these beautiful oil pastels. They're one of my favorite tools to use. They're sort of like big fat crayons. All right, I think I'm going to go with this orange. I have an image that I want to use in this spread, and so I'm sort of going to pick up that orange from her skirt and use it over here. So all I'm going to do here is just make some like fun circles, and they can look a little bit, you know, imperfect. And I'm going to weed them away over there as though they're getting smaller. Another thing I'm going to do is grab a black pen. I was thinking of whether I wanted to do this with pen or with ink. And I think pen will look the best for this purpose. So I want to take these. So you can see some of my lines here are not straight. These ones are pretty straight on. These ones are a little bit crooked, and I like that. But I want to take a couple of them and I want to extend them out with this black. So these are white lines. I want to sort of trace them in black and then turn them around this way. So I'm just going to go this, and then they're going to take a little turn and go straight here. Okay, so I've got my black lines finished here. I've sort of halfway done them on some, extend them out longer on some than others, just making it a little bit random, and sort of underlining those white lines to highlight them a little bit more. The other thing I'm about to do, and one of the reasons why I love these oil pastels, is that you can leave them like this, so they sort of just look like a fun crayon drawing, or you can take a little bit of water, and if you get them wet, they suddenly turn into paints, and then they're a little bit more runny. You can drip them down the page if you want. I think I'm gonna see if these are gonna drip at all. I'd like them to drip up. So they're sort of upside down almost. So I'm gonna hold this upside down so those drips can start going toward the top of my page. All right, so you can see we're starting to like bring in some layers and some different colors, some patterns, some shapes. You can keep going on this. You can add, I'm gonna add this in pretty soon. You can, once you get those going, you can add some text, you can start writing, you can draw pictures. There's so many things that you can do this is just sort of the beginning. But if your beginning is interesting, like we're talking about with these layers, we can still see the words coming through. We have these lines going on. We have the black and the white. We have the circles. We have the different colors. We have acrylics. We have pen. We have oil pastels. We have lots of different things happening on the page. It makes it really interesting and exciting and feels like there's so much there, like it has so much richness in it. So from here, if you have a background that's already layered up, it makes everything that you're doing to highlight everything that you want to actually be the focus of your page, your pictures, your drawings, your words. It gives them something to sit on that's very substantial. So I cannot wait to see what you guys do on your pages. Please tag us, East Naya Arts Academy, and send us your work so we can look at it, and I will post some pictures when I'm done with my pages. Have a great day, you guys. See you tomorrow.